One Saturday morning, Scott Nehring walked into his bank and as he moved toward the line, collapsed. His wife Andrea remembers getting the phone call.
Is this Mrs. Nehring? Yes. Is your husband Scott? Yes. Does he have any health problems? Why? What's going on? Don't ask any questions. Does he have any health problems? Not to my knowledge. And then he said, well, he collapsed at the bank. We've got people here working on him.
Andrea didn't know if her husband would live or die, and the turbulent early years of their marriage now seemed insignificant. The couple met in college and married while still in school.
It was kind of a whirlwind romance, and we were engaged fairly shortly after we started dating.
Yet Scott had been keeping a part of his life hidden from Andrea. He cleaned up his act long enough to win her over, but it didn't last.
I started to do the drugs again. I started to drink very heavily. I started to sleep around. Married man. Months after I got married, I started to cheat on my wife, and it destroyed her.
I just felt sick. So 6 months in, he told me that he wanted a divorce. And then I think I found out about the girl about a month after that.
The couple separated. Andrea left school and moved in with her parents, where she renewed her relationship with Jesus. Over time, she forgave her husband and started praying that he would give his life to Christ.
You know, I'd been told, you're not to give up on him. So I didn't. And we prayed a lot, and I got my strength from the Lord and from my family.
After 2 years, they agreed to get back together and begin working on their marriage. Soon, they had their first child. One night, Scott had a disturbing dream.
There was, in this dream, slopes of mud and muck and running filthy water and stuff like that. And I was rolling in this stuff, and something grabbed me and pulled me down under the water. And I couldn't break free. I knew that that dream was not a dream, but a warning.
So I said, well, do you want to say the sinner's prayer? You finally ready to give your heart to the Lord?
And I did. I got down on my knees and I gave myself to Christ, and I begged for forgiveness for everything that I've done.
Afterwards, Scott started taking his family to church, but the fighting at home continued.
He had some internal conflict that he was working out, but that internal conflict, I guess, often came out in anger.
One day, Scott, a seemingly healthy 38-year-old, walked into the bank and suffered a massive heart attack. By the time he hit the floor, he was already dead, and time was running out. Amazingly, paramedics were only a block away and arrived at the scene within 2 minutes. They worked furiously on Scott until finally they got a heartbeat.
I had what was known as a Widowmaker, and 4% of the people survive. There was no reason for me to be able to make it through that horrible, horrible thing.
He couldn't deny how the Lord choreographed his survival. It was so detailed, and he couldn't deny it. So he knew that the Lord saved him for a reason.
Scott spent only a few days in the hospital. When he came home, he was not the same person.
When you die and you come back, that's what you're left with. Immediately it was my family, my wife, Christ. It was the only thing that mattered. I became a better father, and I became a much better husband. Easily. Giving myself to Christ, living my life for Him, has allowed for me to actually become the man that I should have been all along.
It really has come full circle, and I'm very grateful.
When you give yourself to Christ, it's not an issue of whether you deserve it or not. You don't. But it's an issue of His grace and His gift. It's a beautiful thing.